how to stop tanking in the NBA using the rebuild signal.
The Mavs, once we were eliminated from the playoffs, we did everything possible to lose games.
Tanking exists because teams who lose the most games have the highest expected value of draft picks. The original reverse rank order draft was the worst, promising guaranteed high returns to the last place teams. The NBA lowered the incentives over time using a weighted lottery, but the problem remained. The newest odds do lower the payoff for bottom teams, but actually raise them for others. Both still slope upwards, meaning more losses give you a higher draft value. All of these suffer from the same flaw. Whilst they do a good job at giving the best players to the worst teams, they all reward intentional losing because draft position is determined by the number of losses. More losses means higher draft value. For this reason, flattening odds will not solve tanking.
I am worried that even with the change coming next year, it won't do enough.
All it does is punish weaker teams who have a smaller chance at the top picks but will tank regardless, especially once eliminated from playoff contention. Tanking isn't dead, the lottery is just more fun to watch now. The only real solution is to separate draft order from win-loss record. This is where the rebuild signal comes in. It's a week before the trade deadline, we're about 51 games into the season. By this point, teams are realising that they won't make the playoffs and are starting to turn their attention towards the draft. But now, instead of proving they need the top picks by trying to lose all their remaining games, instead they just announce they're using their rebuild signal. This means they voluntarily give up their chance to reach the playoffs and in return are entered into the top of the draft, pot 1. Fast forward to the end of the season, and the playoff spots are locked in. The playoff teams get entered into the bottom of the draft, pot 3, whilst the remaining teams that just missed out on the playoffs go into the middle, pot 2. Now it's lottery day. Pot 3, the playoff teams, are drawn in reverse order as usual. Then, pot 2 are randomly allocated the next lot of picks. And finally, our signal teams, pot 1, are randomly allocated the top picks, each with equal probability. We now have a system that not only makes certain that the best picks go to the weakest teams, but also that eliminates tanking entirely. There is no incentive to lose games as it does not affect your draft pick. There are two important questions that need addressing. Firstly, why should teams try to win after they've used their rebuild signal? By removing incentives to lose, teams' inbuilt desire to win is revealed. For owners, more wins means more fan engagement and higher revenue. For players, every game represents an opportunity to prove themselves, securing more favourable future contracts, additional playing time, and sponsorship opportunities, all by exerting maximum effort on the court. These athletes have dedicated their lives to bettering themselves to achieve greatness. It is in their competitive nature to try to win. The second question is whether too many teams would use the signal, causing the playoffs to not have enough competitors. For this to happen, it would require the 16th place team to use their signal. They'd be giving up a 58% chance of a playoff spot just to improve their picks by only a small amount. In fact, this is the equivalent of valuing a 12th pick higher than a playoff run. Whilst a top 3 pick is arguably better than a place in the playoffs, a 12th pick is definitely not. It is instead likely that only between 5 and 10 teams would actually use their signal each season. No tanking means closer matches, more underdog upsets, and a tighter, more exciting league. This is good for players, coaches, owners, and most importantly, the fans. Thanks for watching.